Okay, today we're going to take a look at how to refill one of these 1-pound propane bottles. There's a lot of videos out here on YouTube and gosh, mixed reviews. I've had to piece together the information in order to make this work. But this is what works for me. Again, if you really research this, you'll also find out that these bottles are not meant to be refilled. So this is simply for entertainment purposes only. This is the way I do it. I do it very carefully, and I maintain these in a very well ventilated area, both during the process as well as anytime after I refill. So I take extreme precaution, and I urge you to do the same. But anyway, jumping straight away into this, you will notice I've got 2 propane bottles here on the little table. One has a plastic base, whereas the other one is a solid base. Those have an empty weight that are different, and so what we're doing is we're putting 16 ounces into the bottle. So regardless of what the bottle itself weighs, we're adding 16 ounces of propane to the bottle. So it's really important to start off with knowing what the empty weight of the bottle is. So what I have typically found out is the plastic base averages the empty weight roughly 13.5 ounces. And so therefore we will be adding up to 16.4 ounces to that. And then the solid metal base, averages 14.7 ounces. And again, we'll be adding up to 16.4 ounces to that, which would be 31.1 ounces. I'll put all this in the description below for you to take a look. Okay, to the left on this table, you'll notice a little white container. That's my scale. I simply picked that up off of Amazon for $4 or $5 just so I could do this and then other various things around the shop. But it's extremely well suited for this. It's not electronic. I didn't want something that's going to go bad after a few years. I don't want the batteries to start leaking, have to replace the battery. So definitely want to get a scale that works real well. And then lastly on the table here is the actual adapter used to refill the propane bottles from the 20-pound tank. So these adapters work well if you follow the process well enough. The big thing here, and what I'll do is I will quit talking at some point and actually start filling these bottles. But the big part is, how do you get 16 ounces of propane in it? That's where the challenge comes in on these bottles. So what I have found is that you have to, as you'll see in a little bit, we'll fill the bottle, and then we will have to purge the bottle a little bit. And what that does is it, for one thing, it takes the gasified propane off the top of the liquid propane, and it also draws the temperature of the bottle down a little bit. And then we'll put more in it and then purge it again, and then up until the point we get roughly 16 ounces. So that's kind of the process. I've seen people on the web talk about put it in the freezer and all these things. I'm sure that'll work fine, but none of that has worked well for me. So again, we'll be using the 20-pound bottle to fill it from. This is an older bottle I've had for some time. I'm trying to get all the propane out of it, and so that I can return it to the local propane exchange. So anyway, let me get started. And again, highly ventilated area. I'm out here on the apron of my garage. I've got a fan. I will turn that fan on so it can be blowing across me. That's one thing you do not want to do, is inhale this stuff. Don't want to be around any kind of open flames. And also I'll be wearing my leather gloves because the liquid propane, as it comes out, it is very cold. So I do not want to get any frost bites. So again, be very careful, and we'll get started. on this about 16 and a half, 17 ounces. So that means this must have a little bit of propane in it, based upon my pre-recorded averages. So I'll make sure I do not go above the plastic base total, which is 29.9 ounces. Put my adapter in here. Remember, on these things, it's lefty tighty, righty loosey. Let's see, it looks like I've got just one of the, two of the plastic bases. So we're going to screw it in. And I may have mentioned it earlier, but I'm trying to do about a half a dozen of these at one time. And so we'll turn it upside down. And then we'll open the valve on the tank itself. Okay, and you can hear it rushing into the bottle. I'll give it a minute. Just let it equalize. So you got to remember, this is, when you turn it upside down, it's pushing liquid propane into the bottle at this point. It's not pulling the gas that will normally go up. Again, liquid propane is heavier than its gas, so the liquid's going to be on the bottom. That's the reason why we turn it upside down. So it has now equalized the pressure in both tanks. And we'll turn it off. Okay, Rosie, you're going to have to move, sweetie. Alright, so here's where the magic takes place. Alright, so what I like to do here is I take the bottle, I take an Allen wrench, and I, watch out, Moose, Moose, Rosie, watch out. And I purge the bottle and let some of that gas off. See, when I turn it like this, you can see the liquid propane come out of it. Versus like that, it's just gas. It's white when I turn it down. Alright. Screw it back on while the tank is still cold. I don't encourage releasing too much of the gas out because, again, that's going straight into the atmosphere. Okay, turn the valve back on. More gas is going into, the liquid propane is going into the tank. I'm going to get a little bit smaller Allen wrench this time. Okay, turn the valve back off. This is a process. Just take your time. Again, you see I've got a good comfortable chair, a milk crate that I can work on top of, a fan going. And I can tell I've got a little more propane in it. So we're starting to go now. This is good. Liquid propane, you can see when it turns white. And that's also very cold. Turn it back on. Oh yeah, I can hear it going into the tank now. Well, this time I'm getting enough in it, I can just tell that I'm getting enough in it where I will definitely weigh it this time. Okay, remember the magic number we were looking for. It was 29 ounces roughly. So right now I'm at, I put some in it, not a lot, but I'm at 1.1 pound, and then my scale is showing me another 7 ounces. So that's 16 plus 7, so that gives you your 23 ounces. So we've got a good bit left to go. I've got to purge it again. Keep this process up until you get the target weight of the bottle and the propane in the bottle. And the longer you purge, the colder the bottle's going to get. So, like today, it's a pretty hot day here. Definitely the mid to high 80s. So we're dropping the tank temperature pretty fast. Okay. All right. This will probably do it. So a couple other things here I wanted to point out to you. So there's a, let me take my gloves off. There's a Schrader valve here and out here on the outside. I do not mess with this one, okay? I have in the past, and once you start messing with them, I don't know if they have paint in them or what, but they tend to leak really bad from then on. The valve in the middle, be careful with it, and also make sure you're doing the sound test on this afterwards. Sometimes these valves do not seat well, even if you take them off of the grill when they're brand new or whatever, and they'll still be hissing just a little bit. So make sure you're always keeping an eye on this to make sure it's not leaking. And of course, propane stinks. It smells like rotten eggs. That has been added to the propane. Otherwise, propane itself does not have a smell. But anyway, so you can smell of it, listen to it, and then if you've got any of the caps, always try to cap it as well. And again, keep these in a well-ventilated area, and you should be good. But that's kind of the tips on how I refill my propane tanks. Again, I use a little inexpensive scale, and again, knowing what the empty and full weights need to be, and I will post what I have recorded for myself into the description. And you have to have the special adapter to refill from a 20-pound tank, and then again I use an Allen wrench. So I'll post some of the part numbers and stuff where you go order some of this down in the description below. But anyway, hopefully this is helpful to you, and this is what I do. Thank you.